Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on whether or not these upgrades in Walt Disney World are worth it for you and your family. Don't get me wrong, some of these upgrades are great for certain families and they're perfect for some people, and for other people it just doesn't fit into their timeline or their budget. And so we wanted to give you pros and cons and all the details on these upgrades, including specific pricing, so that you can figure out if this makes sense for your budget or if you should just skip it and move on to the regular priced option. Does it make sense to stay concierge or club level at the deluxe resorts? This is a really great one that people ask all the time, and it's pretty easy to break down actually. So concierge used to cost you $100 extra per room per night. Now it's getting a little closer to $200 extra per room per night. So that's not per person, that's per room. And the benefits of concierge is that there's a concierge lounge or club level lounge where you get access to food pretty much all day long. So there's continental breakfast, there's usually hot dishes from the resort restaurants, or they have a chef in there who's creating a hot dish for you, evening wine and beer selections, desserts and cordials. They basically have food going on in there all day long. And they also have things like bottled beverages, canned beverages, things like that you can grab and take back to your room and stuff like that. So a lot of people will stay concierge or stay club level and basically eat in the concierge lounge all the time and not even go to the restaurants. If you're going to do that, if that's your plan, then probably $200 extra a night is a little bit high still for what you're actually going to get, because you could easily eat in the parks or at restaurants at a similar quality level and not be paying $200 extra per night. But that also depends on the size of your family. If you got 5 people in your family, then yeah, probably staying concierge for $200 extra per night. If you're going to eat all of your meals in the concierge lounge, that's going to make sense. But realistically, how many of you are really going to eat all your meals in the concierge lounge, right? So we need to have some other benefits to make it worth it to stay concierge. Here's what they offer you is Disney Signature Services. And this means that there are people at club level at concierge. Those cast members' job is to make your life easier. They're going to plan and schedule your things like hard ticket events, specialty dining, your dessert parties, your extras, all those hard ticket things. They will plan and schedule all that stuff for you. Some concierge locations will plan your trip in advance for you, sort of plan what events you're going to be going to. They will work with you on in-room celebrations and gifts. They will make your dining reservations for you, etc. There is definitely a quote-unquote concierge service that comes with staying concierge. You just have to know it's there and you have to know how to use it to its maximum benefit, right? So that's the key there, is figuring out how to really get your full benefit out of spending that extra $200 a night. Another quick detail that I want to mention here is that there are some possible concierge-only benefits in some testing that Disney's been doing recently. A few months ago, we heard about a test that they were doing with some concierge guests where you could pay $50 per person per day and get 3 additional Fast Pass selections per day. And you could also book some of those Fast Passes 90 days in advance versus 60 days in advance. So if you get lucky enough that they're testing out one of these things while you're there, it is expensive. That's an extra cost because it's going to be $50 per person per day to do that sort of test. But who knows what other tests they might be running, and they might not be so expensive. So that's another minimal perk that might happen when you're there, is that they're testing some sort of special offer for concierge guests. So is it worth it? Can't tell you hands down. You really have to figure out how many of those meals you're going to be taking in the concierge lounge and figure out how much you will need the concierge benefit services to help you plan your trip. So those are the 2 things you have to figure out for you and your family. All right, moving on to hard ticket events. Does it make sense to buy those tickets to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, the early morning magic events, the H2O glow nights at Typhoon Lagoon, after hours in Magic Kingdom, things like that? Does it make sense? Well, let's see. Hard ticket events can be anywhere from $15 to $120 or more. Those $15 ones or $17 ones tend to be Epcot Food and Wine Festival kind of hard ticket events. Those are going to be seminars and demonstrations and things like that. The higher level ones are going to be those parties, Mickey's Not So Scary, the after hours event in Magic Kingdom, and things things like that. Here are the benefits of events like this. Potentially you get into the park early with your party ticket. If you're going to one of those seasonal parties in the Magic Kingdom, usually you can get in the park at 4 p.m. even though the party doesn't start till 7. So you get a bunch of extra time in the park that way. You may not have to use one of your park hoppers or one of your daily park tickets. You usually get additional food items or a meal out of these events depending on where you go. There's often lower crowds, especially in those after hours or early morning magic events. Those are significantly fewer crowds at those. Access to unique characters and entertainment, so there's some parades and fireworks that they only show during those events. Unique characters that you're not going to see anywhere else in the parks. Access to exclusive merchandise. At some of those seasonal parties, there's merchandise that you can only get if you're at the party. Access to exclusive food items, same thing. There's often food items that you can't get during the day, you can only get at those events. But here's a huge thing to remember. Generally, I would say that these tickets, these hard ticket events, are usually going to be worth it, but you need to think about how many people you are having to pay for. If it's just one person, if it's just you and you're paying $90 to go to a hard ticket event, great, super, make it happen. I think there's absolutely, I would say 100% go. But if you've got a bunch of people in your family, you're paying $500, $600 to take everybody to Mickey's Not So Scary or to after hours or something like that, that could potentially be an extra night's hotel room and park tickets for your family. They could spend a whole extra day in a park. And so that's where the thought process really comes in. Does it make sense to spend this money here, or does it make sense to literally have an entire extra day in the park? So if you have a short span of time, you're only there for a long weekend, you got to get the kids back to school, you've got to get back to work, you don't have any extra vacation days, and you got to make the most out of your trip, then yes, definitely get the hard ticket so you can stay in the parks longer that day and have access to fewer crowds and shorter lines. But if you've got a long trip, if you've got an extra day you can tag on at the end, maybe skip the party and have a whole extra day in the park instead. Because the way that, of course, Disney park tickets are priced, as they say, the longer you stay, the less you pay per day. So if you put an extra day on the end, it's probably going to cost less than what a party ticket would cost you for your whole family. Okay, dining packages and dessert parties. This is different from those hard ticket events. A dining package could be the Fantasmic dining package or the Rivers of Light dining package for those evening events. Dessert parties, Eat to the Beat dining packages as well. Many of the Epcot concerts have dining packages associated with them. Dessert parties, those are going to be for, of course, the nighttime events. So those are going to be for Illuminations, Happily Ever After, Rivers of Light, and the Hollywood Studios Star Wars fireworks. So does it make sense to pay $30 to $90 plus for a dining package or a dessert party? Well, dining packages will get you a full meal plus VIP seating at an event, and dessert parties will get you lots of desserts and sometimes alcohol plus VIP viewing of an event. And here's the breakdown. So dining packages are going to be worth more if your time is limited or if the event you want to see is very popular. So dining packages, usually what you're saving is time waiting in line to get a seat, especially at Eat to the Beat and at Fantasmic and things like that. You're saving an hour or two or potentially longer waiting in line to get a seat over there. So if you don't have a lot of time, you're trying to maximize your time in Disney World, or the event you want to see is especially popular. There are some bands at Eat to the Beat that are super popular, and that there's really no way you're going to get in to see them unless you're waiting like 3 hours to get a seat. Then go ahead and grab that dining package. The dessert party is going to be worth it depending on what's offered with the dessert party. So you guys can go watch my whole dessert party video where I talk about every single dessert party that they offer and which ones are worth it based on what information. But this is going to be based on dedicated seating. Does it include a ride on an attraction? How much food is included? Is alcohol included in the price? How popular is the event or show, etc.? So while cost for dessert parties doesn't vary all that much, worth does vary quite a bit. For example, the Frozen Ever After dessert party costs the same amount as the Rivers of Light dessert party. But Epcot's Frozen Ever After gives the added benefit of fireworks. There are no fireworks at Rivers of Light. There are, of course, fireworks and Illuminations. Dedicated seating while you're eating desserts and watching the show, which Rivers of Light doesn't offer seating while you're eating. It has hot food items at the Frozen Ever After event, action stations, and a ride on the super popular Frozen ride after the show, which that means you don't have to use your super, premium tier fast pass to ride Frozen that day. You can ride Soarin' or Test Track or something else and then you get to ride Frozen after the dessert party. So just the fact that it includes all of that stuff means, of course, it's going to be a better value than the Rivers of Light dessert parties. So those are things to look at to determine if it makes sense to book those dessert parties or not. But again, this is going to vary depending on how many people are in your party and how many people you have to pay for a party ticket for. So do that math and figure out, does it make more sense to get a whole extra day in the park, or does it make sense to go to that dessert party or that dining package? Thanks for listening to part 2 of our 2-part series on upgrades in Disney World. We hope this has been helpful for you guys. Please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are about these upgrades. Have you experienced some of these? If you have, let us know. Was it worth it? Pros and cons? Did it fit your budget? Was it a little bit over the top for you? We definitely want to hear what you have to say in the comments because it really helps the rest of our viewers when they can see your experiences as well. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. This is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.